Sarah, tell us your story. How did you get involved coming to market like this?
Yeah, so I started with just my love for reading, and then I'm also really crafty. I like to make just a little bit of everything, and I invested in some stuff. And I thought, what do I absolutely love? And it always comes back to reading. And I thought, hey, I can definitely make bookmarks. So I started doing some research on that, and it took a while because I was completely new to it. And then I have been networking with other people at markets and stuff like that. So they've been helping me. So make friends at these markets, and then don't give yourself too many deadlines at first, because you'll be learning. You won't make the deadlines, and you'll feel discouraged. My first market went horrible. I didn't even make back my spot, but I kept going. The lady next to me at that one was like, your stuff is great, don't give up, and I recommend these markets to go to. And I was like, okay. So I started checking them out, and I started to go to more. The more markets you do, the more you learn. The setup I have now is not the setup I started with. So it's okay to tweak things as you go. Your first draft, I guess, will never be your final. So keep an open mind, stay positive. At the beginning, it's stressful, it can be discouraging, but just keep going.
Perfect. And how long have you been coming to market like this?
Since November.
Oh, so recently.
Yes, very recently. Yeah.
And I think, one question I ask vendors when I interview them like this is, when I come to market, one of the things I struggle with is, how do I know how much inventory to bring, right? Because I might go to a market, I sell quite a bit of stuff. And like you say earlier, you went to a market, you barely make your booth fees.
Yeah.
How do you balance out knowing how much inventory to bring to a market?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like at the beginning, you have no idea. You don't know what's going to sell, you don't know what's going to be popular. So what I started off with, like my bookmarks and stuff, I made 3 of each one. So not too much. I didn't want like a huge overstock if they weren't going to sell. And then I determined what was selling, and I just started making more of them. Or the ones where like customers walk by and they're like, oh my gosh, I love that. Even if they don't buy it, I make a mental note of that, because that means they're probably not the only one. I tried a couple other things. I made annotating bags, and I just made 5, and I had said, we'll see how it goes. And they sold out in one market, and I was like, I need to make more of these. So it's a lot of that trial and error again. But you'll figure out what sells the more you go and talk to people, and customers that you have. The more you talk to them, you'll realize what they like. So I keep track of everything that I sell with little tallies, so I know what's the most popular and what I need to focus on making first when I build up my inventory again.
Perfect. And one thing you mentioned earlier is regarding the booth setup you have right now is not the one you start with. Is there anything unique you do to bring foot traffic to your booth? Like the way you set it up, is there anything you do?
Yeah, so my first setup on my tables, it was very flat. There was no dimension to it, and so people had to walk up and look down. So I started building things up a little bit, which I think was really nice. It kind of draws people in. They don't have to work as hard to see it. And then as I was going through that, I realized, a lot of my merchandise is see-through. So the first market, it was a Halloween one, and I took a really cute Halloween, tablecloth, and then I realized that no one could see what was on my bookmarks, which I should have thought of, but I didn't. So I moved everything to white and just neutral colors, so people could see through my merchandise, because that's what most of them are. So everything is I feel like I'm repeating myself so many times, so everything is a trial and error. You just have to keep trying, see what works. And sometimes, customers will have those gestures or facial expressions when they're struggling, or if they're getting way down there on the table, they're probably not having an easy time looking at your merchandise. And the more of that, the less customers you'll have or buy.
And what is your price range?
Yeah, so most everything is going to be from $7 to $12. I have some things that go up to 15, and I have some that go down to 7. But primarily, it's going to be $7 to $12.
That's not bad at all. I mean, you can get some pretty easy sale.
Yeah,
Do you have any crazy market story?
I've only been doing this since October, November. But I had one like a month ago or a month and a half ago, and I paid for it, and I got there, and there was no spot for me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, did you pay?" And I showed her my Venmo. I'm like, "Yes, I paid you." And they had to like rearrange, and I, shared my like spot space with like 2 other people. They kind of like shifted for me to like scoop me in. But I was really stressed out. That was my 4th market overall, and I was just like, I don't know what to do in this scenario. But I found that a lot of people at these markets are like really kind. Like we're willing to help each other and give each other advice. So it wasn't as stressful as I made it. But everything worked out. It was a little cramped, but I still got everything out, and it all worked out fine.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. I mean, that sounds stressful. I pay, I show up, and I don't have a space.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to rethink this.
I was like, cancel. That's funny. I guess talking about the hosts, some of the market that I go to, and the email they send us, they send you, is they usually say something to the effect of, you need to come at 4 p.m. And no one can take down earlier. And obviously, you've been to a few markets already. You already see some people come 45 minutes after the market is open. Some people start taking down 45 minutes before the market's supposed to close. What is your take on that? Well, how do you feel when people do that?
Yeah, so I actually grew up going to like flea markets and swap meets because that's what my dad does for a living and always has. And that's something that he also brings up quite often. It's like not only like craft fairs and stuff like that, and craft shows but I think for those last minute people that come in, sometimes there can be a really good handful that come in to look. And half the people are already packing up, and it's not even like the end time. That really discourages them from like taking their time to look at stuff. And as some of us realize, sometimes when they take the time to look at something, they become attached to it, and then they'll buy it. But if they feel rushed, they're just gonna like glance at it and walk away. So I personally stay until like on the dot, and then if I still see some people like mingling around, I usually stay a little bit longer as well. But I never pack up early. I think when some vendors do that, it hurts other vendors as well. So it's kind of like a give and take kind of thing. But I personally hate when people pack up early. That's my take.
Okay. And another question regarding vendors. Craft, when I think of craft market, I think of homemade product, right? As you probably seen, not every craft show you go to, the vendor or made the product. What is your take on this? Should it be like if it's gonna be advertised as homemade craft show, if you didn't really make it at home, you shouldn't be coming? What is your take?
Yeah, I think it's really discouraging for people that take the time to make things, and then there's people who just like bought stuff
from Alibaba or something,
like online in bulk, and then they sell it for a profit. I think that's like just a regular flea market or swap meet kind of thing, not necessarily like a craft show. But like us artists, we put a lot of work into these things. Like one of my bookmarks can take 30 to 45 minutes to like assemble like completely. And so like we spend a lot of time on these things. So when people come in with things that they just like bought off the internet in bulk and they'll resell it, and then resell it really cheap because they bought so much, it really helps like the artists at the fairs. So the way I look at it, it's not super fair. It's not really what the show is advertising, but I think we'll always have that.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. What is your last, any word of advice for a vendor that want to do this but is afraid, scared? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say probably don't be too scared. Like I said, like a lot of people at the markets, they're really kind. Get to know the person next to you. That's how I've gotten some of my best advice. I've made friends with some, and they send me all the really good markets. They're like, "This was really amazing last year. You should sign up for it." And otherwise, I probably wouldn't have heard from of some of these. And so it's just one of those things. But my other advice is to not spend all your money at once. you know, it's almost like taste testing. Get some stuff, make it, see what sells, and then invest more instead of all at once. I'm still buying stuff. I bought my new displays, and this is my first market using them. And so you just kind of learn and learn and learn. But I bought some stuff that didn't work, but I bought 3 or 4 of them, and I'm just like, I really hate this, and that's $100 out the window. So it's okay. So buy 1 or 2, see how you like it, buy more. But you'll want to do that trial and error for sure.
Perfect. And where can people find you?
So I have a Shopify. I just built an Instagram, and I also have an Etsy now, which I'm trying to build up.
What is the name?
Shop Serendipity, just my company name.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.